Wanted to make this video for the young men who, like me, grew up without a father in the home. Specifically, I wanted to make it for the ones who have been carrying this as a chip on their shoulder and it's been affecting their life, whether that be in school, work, dating, or just their sense of their own masculinity. If this sounds like you, then keep watching. Over the years, as I turned into an adult and went to university, got into my first relationship and started my first job, I had spells of negativity where I would feel frustrated that I lacked certain masculine traits, or some of my characteristics were just too feminine and weak and submissive. And there were times where it went as far as me blaming my father for not being able to keep our family together, because then I would have had that guidance. And maybe you're doing this as well. Every time I fell into this negative mindset, I used the realization to pull myself back on track. The fact that deep down, I was still a man, there was still that person I aspired to be deep inside me, and that had been inside me since birth. And if I could just fill in the gaps that not having a father had left me with, I could bring that person out. I could bring him to light, and I could realize my true potential. And this is what I'm trying to pass on to you here. Yes, we speak a lot about discipline and doing things despite not feeling like it, and it's absolutely essential, of course, to achieving any meaningful success. But we also ideally want you to go along this journey to discovering your masculinity and achieve some real self-improvement while feeling encouraged and confident that you can do so. It's not essential, and you can definitely still do all the good habits and be disciplined and achieve success despite not feeling like your efforts will amount to anything or not feeling worthy of that success. But if you can back yourself to really believe that whatever weakness or insecurity your father not being around has left you with is something that's in your power to change, because deep down, you've been a man from day one and were wired to overcome adversity, then I really think you can fast track your progress here. So how do you actually avoid handicapping yourself with a negative mindset and get your mind to feed you empowering thoughts, as opposed to what for most of us is happening, which is our minds being factories of negativity and trying to discourage us from our pursuits? Well, every time you hear a negative thought produced by your brain, you need to actively overpower it. Let's say you're in sports training and you play football or rugby, and you see the other guys around you being rough and ready, tumbling around, shouting, competing hard, just being quite rowdy. Maybe up until this point, you felt quite out of place or anxious around this masculine energy. Or maybe you thought to yourself that you're not as masculine as these guys and that you're not as strong or as fast and you can't compete with them. And you also don't have their confidence. I'm not saying that the traits I've outlined are traits of an ideal man or this is how a man should be, but it's quite typical behavior that you observe in groups of young men. If your mind starts feeding you this crap that you're somehow inferior to these guys, then you need to tell it to shut up, because you're going to dive in there and you're going to see what you're made of. And you do this over a long enough period of time, and your mind will start to realize that you mean what you say and that it's not able to talk down to you, and it will stop doing so. And this is when the power dynamic shifts, where you start to be in control of what your mind produces as opposed to your mind controlling you. But it's a constant battle you have to uphold, although it does get easier with time. You'll also gain more self-respect from pushing past your comfort zone, and your identity begins to transform in the process. Your powers will grow, and you will come to realize that you actually have the ability to bend reality to your will with the right amount of work. And that not having a father in the picture was really just a mental crutch that you were using because deep down you were afraid of your true potential and you were afraid of being faced with the prospect of having to do the work, because it's much easier to pass on the power to some circumstance that you're unable to control. The fact that your father left the home, or that your father was there but he wasn't actually present and involved in your upbringing. It takes a strong man, a strong mind to actually carry the burden of ownership. Now, this is all from my thinking, my experiences, and the content I've been consuming. So I can't guarantee it's 100% correct, but this is what's been helping me get out of ruts on this self-improvement journey, and I hope it helps you too. Any thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with anything I've said, then I'd love to hear them in the comments. And as always, you can join our free Discord community using the link in the description. I'll see you in the next video.